So today's live is an activity to do with children, and I'm going to start with the most basic and then show you some variations to do with kids a little bit older. We all love the old school, if you're like me, some of the old school games, something very simple as Tic Tac Toe. So I've created several ways that you can turn this into a craft project in terms of making a game for the kids. And it's something that kids of young age can do with parents or older siblings. And it's also something that the older kids might do on their own. But I'm going to give you some fun, simple ways to make tic-tac-toe boards for different groups. This first tic-tac-toe game I'm showing you has this storage box to go with it. This is one of the boxes that our all-exclusive card kits comes in. So I've made up all the cards, but I hung on to the box thinking I might use it for a gift or something like that. But today I'm turning it into a tic-tac-toe game. So what I've simply done is measured the inside of the box. If you have a square box, just measure the inside, cut some designer series paper to or cardstock to fit inside it. You can cut some strips of cardstock or DSP to make your game board. And then what I did was, and I used the Birthday Bonanza, I think it's called. Let me see here, I don't know where I put it. The Birthday Bonanza Designer Series paper. Yes, that is what it's called. I wanted to check. Birthday Bonanza Designer Series paper. And I used a couple of my punches, my 2-inch and 2 1/4 inch circle punches. I cut some of the different animals right from the Designer Series paper. And then I mounted each of those on a circle cut, 2 1/4 inch circle cut from coordinating cardstock. Now when you do the tic-tac-toe games, you'll need 5 of 2 sets of game pieces. Okay, so I've made them all the same. You can see this would be something to do with real little ones, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, something like that. Okay, very simple. Multi-purpose glue works great. You could even stamp the images on some cardstock. You can let the kids color, kids stamp, or like I did, use some punches. So that's the first one. Easy, right? Now, if you don't have a square box, no worries, because I have a solution for you that you can still make a game board and be able to store the game board and the pieces all together. So I'm going to show you that now. You'll need a sheet of a square piece of cardstock. I'm using 12 by 12. It doesn't necessarily have to be this, but with the size of my game pieces, you'll want it to be probably at least 8 by 8, if not larger. I've got a Ziploc bag. That's going to be for our storage. And I've got some washi tape. On the first one, I cut pieces of Designer Series paper to make my tic-tac-toe grid. On this one, I went ahead, I'm not sure if you can see this. Hold on one second. Let's see if I can switch this. It might not let me make the screen smaller since I already started. But I went around all 4 sides of my cardstock and made little marks at 4 inches. So I'm using 12 by 12 and I marked at 4-inch and 8-inch on each side. Whatever your marking is determined by the size of your square, obviously. You're going to section off in thirds. And I'll trim those pieces. So it's nice when I have these dots. I'm basically just connecting the dots with my washi tape. You can use construction paper, cardstock, pattern paper, whatever you like. I'm going to do the same thing here. Definitely something fun to do with preschoolers. Our house with our kids growing up, and actually even now still is, we have adult children, we all enjoy playing games together. Every year during the holidays I look for some kind of new board game, and the girls and Peter, we all do, so that's always fun. Now we could just fold back those ends of washi tape, but I'm going to trim mine just to make it look a little bit neater. You could also use very thin cardboard or poster board to do this. Kids would love working with this washi tape, and it's wonderful because you can have some leeway. You can pick it up and move it around a little bit, and it's easy for them to tear as well. So this is what I have so far. Now this is obviously not going to fit in my gallon size bag. So let me show you how you can fix that. I'm pulling in my paper, oops, I missed one. Pulling in my paper trimmer. And I'm going to score at 6 inches in the two directions. So 6 inches there. I'm going to turn this 90 degrees and again score at 6 inches. Now on one of those score lines, I'm going to cut down to that center point where the two score lines intersected, just on that one space. Oh, I think I need a new blade. It's kind of tearing my paper here. I need to switch that out. I'll finish this and then I will switch it out before the next project. When it starts doing this to your paper, the blade, that means you're ready for a new one. So now I've got this slit here. See how it gets kind of yucky like that? I'll switch. I've been crafting like crazy down here, so it is time to switch that blade. So now what I'm going to do is just fold on those other score lines. And then you just fold back like this, and it will fit neatly in your bag, along with your two sets of the Tic Tac Toe game pieces. So great for travel, great for little ones to stick in a backpack if they have to go watch, Big Brother's game or Sister's dance class or something like that, and it's all together. So when you're ready, you just pull that game board out and open it up as such. All right. If you're watching, I hope you'll comment, and please let me know if you are liking the projects and tips as we go along. Feel free to ask questions. Okay, so that's our second one. Now we are going to move to a little bit different one, and I've made the next one. I know we're all kind of hunkered down at home and not really going out, but this is something you can make with the kids now and then use when you're traveling later. I'm just putting my new blade in there. Quick and easy. Okay. Now, I was going to mention on these previous Tic Tac Toe boards that are large, this would be fun to, and it doesn't matter what size, but this is something you could do to coincide with holidays. So here's an example of a stamp set I've been using a lot lately, Welcome Easter. And this is a collage I made to put in a frame or on a scrapbook page. But wouldn't it be fun to have game pieces for an Easter tic-tac-toe or spring tic-tac-toe game? And this is something where you could stamp the pieces and have the kids do the coloring. They might even, and depending on age, they might even be able to do their own stamping. And then you could just cut them or punch them with the circle punches or some circle die cuts as well. So keep that in mind. And I'm sure we all have lots of things at home that we can use in making these. But I'm giving you some Stampin' Up! Suggestions as well. Okay, here's the next one. And this features the Come Sail Away products, the Designer Series paper and our little nautical embellishments. And this one is actually magnetic. So this would be wonderful to stick in a backpack or to leave in a car and take on trips. It's easy to move from room to room, put it all away, everything stays neatly together, and store this on your shelf. It would even be fun to personalize these. So let me show you, I've got this divider in here, and I've got the two magnet pieces, one to play the game and one to store the pieces when the kids are finished. Okay. And I'm going to show you how to put one of these together. Alrighty. I'm gonna set this here so you can see it. This time I pulled out, I thought this would be another fun set for little ones. We have the Dino Days stamps. Now, obviously some of these are too big for the pieces, but you could stamp and just punch out the heads of the different dinosaurs. But I'm going to show you how to actually make the box that you're going to play and store the game pieces in. So first of all, you can start with a piece of Designer Series paper. You'll want this to measure 7 inches high and 11 1/4 inches across. Then I'm using one of our Stampin' Up! Stamp cases. And these are the thick ones, the full-size wood mount cases. I don't really buy wood mount stamp sets anymore, but I like this a lot for different projects. Actually even doing sending cards as gifts, like giving them away as gifts. When you open these, there is a plastic sleeve here. I want the dinosaurs to be on the outside of my box and this pattern on the inside. So I'm just going to slide this in to that plastic sleeve. A nice thing about these too during this time is after the kids play, you can wipe them off with a Clorox wipe, something like that. So that helps a lot. Quick and easy, right? So if you use the Stampin' Up! Cases, the paper should be 7 inches by 11 1/4. Or you could just do a 5 by 7 and just put paper on the front too. Now to make the insert, you're going to need to cut a piece of cardstock. I'm looking to see what colors coordinate here. I'm not really sure. How about I'm going to go with, excuse me, Old Olive. And I'm going to cut this 5 inches by 9 inches. 5 by 9. Joan, I agree that Dino Days paper is very cute. And the nice thing about it, here, let me pull it out for you. It's got some more feminine colors that little girls would enjoy. Just bright, bold colors and patterns. And it's got some colors that little boys would enjoy as well. And then just some fun jungle colors. So really bright and fun to work with. So you want this paper cardstock to be 5 inches by 9 inches to start. And this is to make that divider in our box. I'm going to try and pull this up here. So once you have that, I want you to score at 5 inches and then score at 6 inches and 7 inches. So 5x9 cardstock, and then score at 5, 6, and 7 inches. Joan, this paper is in the annual catalog. It's in the annual catalog. So now I'm just going to accordion fold on those 3 score lines. So you have this. This is what it looks like from the side. Okay. I'm going to put some adhesive in here to hold these in place. You don't necessarily have to, but just makes it a little more sturdy. I'm going to fold back the other way and press down too. Okay. Now this is where you want some strong adhesive that will hold that paper, that cardstock, nicely on the plastic here. The multi-purpose glue will probably work. It'll just take some time for it to dry in there. So I'm choosing to use our tear-in tape, which I love. It's just as easy to tear as that washi tape. Great for kids to work with too, because they can just tear it real easily with their little fingers. And now, of course, whatever pieces you make for these smaller game boards will depend on the ages of the children. We don't need any choking hazards. Okay, press that all firmly down in place. And then I like to use the piercing end of my take your pick tool to pull up those adhesive backings. Now I'm ready to add this to the inside of my box. I'm just going to, press it into place just like that. Okay. Now I do have a piece of, I have a magnetic insert. I don't want too much paper on top of the magnet because that takes away some of the magnetic strength. These are things I buy from Stampin Storage. I'm sure you can get them at any craft store, maybe even a hardware store. This is what I store my dies on for all the different sets I have. Be sure and comment so I know who's here. I see Joan and Pam are on. Looks like others are watching, but I don't know who that is. And if you like what you see, I hope you'll give me some thumbs up and hearts or comment. Be sure to ask questions if you have any. So what I'm going to do is just cut this now to 5x5. This square area is 5x5. So that's how I'm going to cut this. And it will fit in there just fine. Actually, the magnetic sheets I have are just slightly smaller than 5 inches. But whatever you do, just measure and make yours fit accordingly. So I have this extra piece. If you get some edges like that in the cutting, mine are pretty thick. I'm just going to cut that off. You don't want to use your best cutter or your best scissors when you're cutting the magnet. This scissors is the one I used to cut the rubber stamps out. Do you remember that way back in the day? Our rubber stamps did not come I didn't cut that very straight. Pre-cut. We had to cut them all out with our rubber scissors. That's what those are for. So now I'm going to add these to the inside of my box. I'm going to put that ugly side, that ugly edge towards the center. There we go. Be less noticeable. And then I'm going to put this one in as well. Except I forgot to do one thing on here. Do you know what it is? Okay. I was going to use washi tape to make the grid here. And I should have done that before I put the glue on the back of this. So instead, I will cut some 5-inch strips of Designer Series paper. So these will fit in there just like that. And for something like this, I would use like a 3/8 inch strip. For the larger one, for the larger Tic Tac Toe boards, I did a 1/2 inch. So I would use 1/4 to 3/8 for this size Tic Tac Toe board. When you're working with children, you could even have all of the pieces and parts pre-cut, and they just assist you with putting it together. Actually, Joan does Bailey babysit. These are some activities babysitters might like to use with little ones. You know, just to make it stick more quickly, I'm going to use my snail to adhere these strips. And you just want to go about 1/3 of the way. Just going to set that one down lightly for now. I thought this would be a fun thing to send to my littles. Actually, they could, I could send them the video. They're old enough. They're 1st grade and 3rd grade. Not so little, I know, right? But they love arts and crafts. They love games. And I thought, well, I could send them a little kit and have their parents play the video vac for them, and they could make it themselves. I cut these just a little too long, darn it. Joan, I know you're a grandma, obviously, but Pam, are you a grandma yet? Oh my gosh, Bailey's in college. I forgot that, Joan. That is crazy. Crazy. She's in college. And now that I think about it, you had told me that. That is just, oh my gosh, where did the time go? I remember when you brought her to my house for some little stamp classes. Okay, so there I have that. Real simple, right? Now you can think about how you're going to make your game pieces. What I would do is just take some of your magnetic strip or magnetic sheet, and again, not with your best scissors. Oh my gosh, Joan, your youngest grandchild is 17. Where has the time gone? And I just cut little pieces like that. Okay, so for example, on this one, I used the Stampin' Up! Embellishments. I adhered them with glue dots to a piece of cardstock. I punched 1-inch circles, and then I just glued the magnet to the back. Okay, and we won't take up all that time right now because I have one more to show you, but I really wanted to show you how I put the actual travel case together. Alrighty, any questions about that? When you purchase these cases from Stampin' Up, they come in packs of 4. Pretty inexpensive, maybe $6 or so, something like that, but very inexpensive. So if you wanted to make several, you could do that quite easily and inexpensively. Okay. Another thought I had was things like this, whether it, and again, based on the age of the children you're working with, but things like this would be a great birthday activity or party activity, maybe a classroom activity when the kids finally go back to school, a summer break activity, things like that. I know a lot of times too, young girls like to get together and do their whole craft bit and all this. Something like this would be perfect for that. Okay, so I'm going to show you one more little travel one, and this is one that I really thought maybe girls like 10 to 12, 13 might like to do something like this, or maybe even a little younger, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10, something like that. But it's the same basic idea as the one I just showed you in the plastic case, but instead we're using one of our mini pizza boxes. And these are sold, I believe, 8 in a package. So again, something you could make very inexpensively. Real easy to put together the box. Just fold up the sides and around like that. And it's good to fold all the score lines first, really. There. And then you can go ahead and fold it all together. Oops, why is that not staying? There we go. And it folds up exactly like you would think, and thus the name mini pizza box. The inside, those side tabs are going to be folded to the inside. Okay, so I have pre-cut some things already. I have a piece of designer series paper to adhere to the top to decorate the cute box. And this is from the, hard time remembering all these names, Mosaic Mood Specialty Designer Series paper. And why it's called Specialty Designer Series paper, some of these little mosaic bits are actually embossed and raised. So if you see some shininess, that's what that is. Pretty with flowers and butterflies and little bumblebees. Just a pretty, pretty paper. Now, you could also go ahead and decorate the sides of the box with either cardstock or more designer series paper all the way around. Let's see. Pam, you are a grandma and you actually have 2 great-grandchildren. That is awesome. I can't wait to be a grandma someday. Okay, I've already pre-cut my magnetic sheet to size to fit in the bottom of that box. And I'm going to stick that right in and press it down. Again, I forgot to cut the, let me pull this out really quick because I was going to use the washi tape for this. Because again, you want something small. And this time we can just fold the ends behind because the back side of this is not going to be showing like it did on our 12 by 12 piece of black cardstock that we were using. Does anybody use washi tape in their crafting? You probably haven't done this before, right? Making Tic Tac Toe boards. But it's a lot of fun. And honestly, kids think washi tape is the best. If you're ever making up a little craft supply kit for kids, throw in some washi tape. It's really inexpensive. And it comes in so many fun colors and patterns. And they just think it's a big deal. And little fingers can even tear it. So that's great because it makes them feel so independent. Let me put some more of my multi-purpose glue there because some of it's drying up a bit. You know, when I was making samples before, I was not, I never forgot to make the grid before I stuck it down. But when I'm live with you and have an audience, there you go. Okay, so now I have these little floral embellishments, okay, and they do have a little sticky back, but it seemed awkward to put them on a little piece of magnet. So I pre-cut these, but now I'm starting to wonder if maybe they're too big. No, I think it'll be all right. I think it'll be okay. So these already have adhesive on them, so I'm just going to stick them to the center. Maybe a 3-inch punch would have worked a little bit better, or even a 1/2-inch punch. But again, keep in mind, these are for a little bit older children where you don't have to worry about choking issues. Oh, and guess what? I don't have 5 of that color. I'll have to pull out another sheet later. But that's all right. I can put some on these. Because for Tic Tac Toe, you need 5 of each game piece. So I can set those aside and just do the yellow and the mint macaron color. And I lost one. So you get the idea, right? And again, you could even just use colored pieces of cardstock, punched pieces of cardstock in different colors, or designer series paper. You don't necessarily have to have an embellishment like this, but the embellishments just make it that much more fun, of course. And I'm missing one of my... By the way, some kids love to punch different things out. Punches, you know, they need some strength. So a 3-year-old is not going to be able to do some punching. A 10-year-old, yes. So you want to think about that when you're prepping. I'm going to go ahead and punch another circle. And then once again, to finish off your game, let's set these aside, get another pack out. You can take some of these magnetic sheets or magnetic strips. I prefer the sheets, excuse me. I think the sheets cut into small pieces work better than those that are on the strip. I've never had really good luck with the ones on the strip. Having strong enough magnets. But you can always test them out. The other thing to keep in mind is when you're putting on, and I use designer series paper to back this Tic Tac Toe board. If you go something like cardstock over the whole thing, that's even thicker. So each time you add a layer, you're taking away some of that magnet strength, okay? So on this one, being that it's small, I did not put a paper on that magnet for the game board. Then I just put a dot of the multi-purpose glue on the back of these. I'm going to stick my magnet on the cardboard side to the paper, obviously. Just like that, super simple. Again, this is a step that young children could help with as well, putting those magnet pieces on the back. And as I'm working, I just lay them in my box. And for this one, I don't use anything extra to store the pieces. They're just going to store right in there, and I'm going to close up the box. And I'll do the same with the other 5. So can you see where this is kind of a fun party activity, slumber party activity even, birthdays? For people who have large family reunions, this could be an activity for children to do that. They make their own Tic Tac Toe board. Any of these that I showed you would be great for all those activities. I hope my littles like them when I send them a little something. And I'm trying to decide if I want to send them the finished game or let them do their own. And I'm leaning towards making them a little kit for each of them to do. So that's all, whoops. So this one's all finished. And when we're done playing, when we want to open it and play, we empty out all the pieces. And when we're finished, we just drop them back in and do like that. And of course, it's always fun to add some personalization to each of these, or even some embellishments. Do you have any questions? And again, keep in mind that you can do different themes. Oh, Bible school, that's awesome. Yes, vacation Bible school activities. Keep in mind that any of these can be adapted for children older and younger, and for any occasion or holiday as well. Okay, I'll show this game board one last time. Okay, if you wanted to make this a little bit sturdier, you would just make it on a piece of poster board or thin cardboard, something like that. Okay, I hope you have enjoyed these Tic Tac Toe projects to do with children and grandchildren, or to make for neighborhood kids, or gatherings of kids later when we're all getting back together. But for right now, it's some good one-on-one learning and crafting and gaming together. If you have any questions, if I can help you with your Stampin' Up! Needs, please message me and I will be happy to do so. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.